Technology teaching. I also welcome our Honorable Sir Chitnis Madam, who is also attending this session for information of all our outside participants and our today's guest speaker Sam Kary sir. I will give brief idea about our organization. Our organization is district. We are having more than 486 units all over Nasik district, and uh, 2 lakh, more than 2 lakh students are getting their education in one roof. Hospital that is with 1,000 bed capacity, and currently it is giving service for COVID patients of Nasik district. And we are also having other professional colleges like engineering college, pharmacy, architecture, agriculture, and more than 250 schools. Our main aim is that to give education to common masses. Those are in rural and tribal area. Our KBT College of Engineering is NAC accredited A grade institute, and we have taken uh, more than 1,000 activities, online activities during this COVID lockdown period of more than now 2.5 months. So we have taken this challenge as opportunity, and we are serving for our all stakeholders in our best way. So once again, I welcome you, Sam Kary sir, and I wish all the best for this session. We would be very happy to hear you on the different techniques. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for the
Thank
introduction. Are you
you.
ready to have me share?
Thank you, sir. Today we have with us Sam Kary from USA. Sam Kary is a Google for Education certified trainer and National Geographic certified educator. Sam began teaching 10 years ago as a Tech for America Corps member in Richmond, California. He is also worked lead instructor coach as Breakthrough Collaborative in San Francisco. Over the years, Sam has experimented with numerous education technology programs in order to engage students in higher order thinking. He believes students learn best when they are provided with right tools and guidance to analyze, evaluate, collaborate, and create. His teaching practice is deeply informed by universal design of learning framework as well as SAMR model of technology integration. Sam is also passionate about sharing ideas and best practices for implementing education technology with other educators. He started new EdTech classroom to bring that passion to life through video tutorials, blog entries about the implementing education technology, and podcast interview with other educator. We are very fortunate to such dynamic person with us. I request Sam Kary sir to guide us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm honored to be here with everybody today, and I'm excited about the fact that you all are looking at this situation that we find ourselves in with the pandemic as an opportunity to also learn and grow and find new tools that we can use in order to engage students. So I'm very excited to be presenting today. I'm going to be sharing my screen here, and please just let me know if at any point you have any difficulty seeing the screen or any difficulty hearing me as well. So I was asked today to come and present about different interactive remote teaching strategies. So obviously one of the central challenges when we're teaching students online and we're not all in the same room together is going to be how to figure out how to bring some of the same types of strategies that we might use in a classroom environment to online teaching. So how do we know, for example, what a student knows? How do we know if a student is engaged? And how do we continue to create a class environment where students still feel like they're part of a classroom culture and they don't just feel like they're in a room by themselves on a computer learning. So today I'm going to be showing you some different tools that address all of those questions. So just a little bit about myself. Again, most of this was already covered in that wonderful introduction. So I am the founder of the New EdTech Classroom. As was mentioned, I've been a classroom educator for a decade, as well as an instructional coach. And I'm a blogger, a YouTuber in the United States. I also present at numerous national conferences in the United States about using education technology. And although I am Google for Education certified trainer, I don't adhere necessarily to only Google products. To me, what's really the most important for students is that we're teaching students to learn how to be adaptable and flexible. And really my primary goal as an educator using technology is to make sure that students are fully prepared to participate in the world in which we live, which, as we know, is a world that requires students to have digital literacy skills. And so that's really what I'm out there advocating for. So today, our objective for this webinar is that we are going to be learning as well as experiencing some different strategies for creating interactive remote teaching lessons. So I am going to talk for a little bit in the beginning, but then after that, I'm going to ask that everybody tries to also use the programs that I'm going to show you. I think in my experience that people learn best when they're actually doing themselves. Part of what I always do in a webinar is give people the opportunity to actually get in and use the different tools that I am teaching. So we're going to do that a little bit later on in this webinar. So just a little bit of background about some of these practices that I'm going to be showing you. They are research-based practices. Again, in the introduction, some of these practices were mentioned. All of my instructional practices are informed by various pedagogical theories and learning frameworks. Universal Design for Learning, which is a framework that asks teachers to provide multiple means of accessing information and representing knowledge. You're also going to see when we look at a lesson that I use the 5 E's lesson plan. And that means that throughout a lesson, I'm having students do activities to have them engage with material, explore material, explain what they've learned, elaborate through some creativity app or some process of showing what they know, and then evaluating their thinking. And that could happen through a quiz, through a reflection, through looking at their classmates' work. I also use project-based learning strategies. So again, in the lesson that you're going to see, you'll see that everything builds toward a project. And I feel as though it's very important to provide students with authentic, immersive learning experiences so that they understand that learning is relatable, and digital tools are a great way to achieve that. And then lastly, I do apply the SAMR model of technology integration to lessons that I create. And this is a model that really pushes teachers to think about how we can use technology to reimagine what is possible in education. And that's what I'm striving to do. So when we're thinking about the big picture of remote teaching, we have different pieces that are going to need to be in place. And we obviously have one tool that we're all experiencing right now, and that's synchronous learning, where we're all learning together. Obviously, that's not going to be feasible all the time with remote teaching. So we're going to need to create some asynchronous learning experiences for students as well, where students are learning independently. And lastly, in order to continue to retain a sense of classroom environment, to provide formative assessments for teachers to know what students know, and for students to monitor their own understanding, we're also going to have to build in some different interactivity tools into those synchronous learning and asynchronous learning experiences. So I'm just going to briefly talk about synchronous learning and asynchronous learning, as well as some of the tools that can be used to achieve that. So synchronous learning is a video chat or a video conference like we're having right now, where the teacher and the students are learning together at the same time. Tool that everybody, I'm assuming, is familiar with, given that we're on it right now, is Zoom. And Google Meet is also an effective tool for video conferencing. So both of these tools allow you to present information and screen share like I'm doing right now, so that you can be doing some teaching. So some tips for synchronous learning. The first is to keep meetings relatively short. So I'm definitely not an advocate for long Zoom classes. I think they should be no longer than an hour. I think synchronous learning is best for launching lessons, for question and answer sessions, and for teaching misconceptions. So I am actually going to argue that for most skills instruction, asynchronous learning is actually a more effective strategy for doing that. So asynchronous learning means that students are not learning together with the teacher. They're learning independently. And oftentimes, like in this image, they might be watching a tutorial. Asynchronous learning can also be curating articles for students to read, or having them watch educational videos and learning from those videos. And asynchronous learning might also involve students creating some sort of a project or piece of work that shows what they know. So it can look like a lot of different things. If you're doing video tutorials where you're capturing your screen and you're sharing your screen capture with students, really any of these tools, Screencastify, Loom, Screencast-O-Matic, will all work fine. They all have free versions. And I'm going to be sharing this presentation with you later. You can access all of these links here. I don't actually think that any of the paid versions are necessary. You can totally get by with the free versions of these screen capture tools. And I also have some tutorials below for any of you if you're interested in learning more about how to actually make a video tutorial with any of these programs. So some tips for asynchronous learning. First, I have actually long practiced using video tutorials to teach new skills, concepts, or new tech platforms, actually long before remote teaching. So essentially, this is a flipped classroom model, if you've heard of that before, where students are watching videos on their own, potentially outside of class even, and then they're coming back and they're asking questions of the teacher, or they're engaging in higher order thinking. And another benefit of using a video tutorial to teach a new tech program is that students can watch it at their own pace. They can rewatch it as necessary. If they miss a step that you're showing in a live lesson like this right now, they can just go back and rewatch it. So I'm a huge advocate, especially for new technology platforms that you are using video tutorials. And actually for that reason, I'm not really going to be teaching the nuts and bolts of a lot of these programs today. I will be showing them to you. I am including all my video tutorials so that you can learn all the ins and outs of how to actually use those programs. And I think that type of learning actually works best in that situation. And then, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's obviously going to be very important as well to use different interactivity apps for student engagement to promote active learning. So the risk with asynchronous learning, where we're asking students to go do independent study, is that essentially we're just asking them to learn in a box by themselves in front of a computer, and they're missing out on getting feedback from the teacher, from collaborative experiences with peers, from just that ability to feel also like they're part of a community. So it's really, I think, our responsibility as educators to be looking for different ways to continue to engage students, to find out what they know, and provide them with those different experiences to collaborate with peers to maintain that sense of community. There are tons of tools actually for interactivity, too many for me to be able to go over today. I am going to be focusing on some today, and I'm going to be focusing on some tools mostly for the purpose of formative assessment. So that is you as the teacher understanding what a student knows or does not know, and also some tools for students to be able to monitor their own understanding about what they know and what they don't know when you're not there to be able to necessarily answer their questions at all times. And then some of these tools as well, you'll see have some community building built into them as well to help maintain that sense of class culture. And some of these tools are just kind of fun to use as well, creating that sense of joy for learning, which is also really important. So some tips for using interactivity apps or tools that are in your teacher toolkit. One is that you use them throughout lessons. So it's not that you're just using one in the beginning of the week and that's it. You're using them every day, ideally. You're using a wide variety of different tools and strategies so that they don't become sort of dry and boring. And I also think it's important to just be exposing students to a wide variety of different education technology platforms to help build their digital literacy skills. I also think just using apps that are kind of quick and easy are better so that they don't require a lot of instruction on your part to teach a student how to use it. They're pretty intuitive. I think all the programs I'm going to show you today are quite intuitive programs. And then my last tip is just that you participate as well as the educator. So you're also jumping into those interactivity platforms. You're also creating a response to a question. You're commenting on students' posts. And that's really going to show your students that you're taking your classroom space into this digital space and you're interacting and engaging with them in the same way that you would in the classroom. So we're going to look at a few tools today. And the first tool that we're going to look at is an online whiteboard program called Google Jamboard. So Google Jamboard is a digital whiteboard where students and teachers can interact with each other's work in real time. And this program can be used for asynchronous or synchronous learning. So we're going to see that now, how you can all be in a Google Jamboard together working, but it's also a program that you could use if students are working at different times at their own pace. And the next program we're going to look at is another one of my favorites, Padlet, which is an online bulletin board program. And one of the great things about Padlet is that students can post virtually any type of media to a Padlet and respond to each other in real time. And that means they can post videos, they can post text, images, GIFs, they can even post screen shares. So it's quite a dynamic program. We're going to look at that in a moment. Edpuzzle is a interactive video creation platform where teachers can customize video content for students. So this is not really a synchronous learning tool. This is primarily used for asynchronous learning, for independent learning. And it's a really awesome program that is going to allow you to create questions that students are going to have to answer in order to be able to proceed through a video. So we're going to look at that as well. And the second to last program we're going to look at is one of my favorites, and it's a program called Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a interactive platform. It's 100% free. Actually, all these programs are free. Some have some premium or pro versions, but Flipgrid is 100% free, unlimited access to it, and owned by Microsoft. And it's a program where students can post video responses to a prompt that you might give them, and then they can respond to each other via video. So when you get into it, you might think initially that it's for kids, possibly, but I use it with adults all the time, and adults absolutely love it. So I highly encourage you to check out Flipgrid, and we're going to look at that in a moment. And then the last one is just a fun app that you can use to really check for understanding. So although it's fun, it's a app called Kahoot, where you can set up essentially a quiz game. And it's fun, but it gives you a lot of information, and it also helps students check for their own understanding, in addition to giving you information about what students know. So at this time, what we're actually going to do is we're going to look at an example. So I'm going to be demoing a week-long lesson plan for you. And I'm going to ask that as many people as possible log into this lesson plan as well. So I'm going to be giving everybody the link right now in the chat. And if you're able to, it would be great if you could click on this link. If you are not able to, it's not a problem because I will also show you the student view. But if you're able to get in, it's going to help you understand how to use these programs a little bit better. And you're also going to get to see how I structure a week-long lesson for remote teaching. So I see a bunch of people jumping in, and that's great. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to actually show you this from the teacher end. And then I'm also going to create a separate screen here where I'm going to show you what this would look like on the student end. So if you just give me a moment. Okay. All right, so what I'm showing you right now is what's called a Hyperdoc. And I have a tutorial as well as a full blog entry about creating these. I also have some templates that you're free to use, and you're free to use this template as well. If you go up to File and you go to Make a Copy, you can make a copy of this and you can use it yourself if you're interested. So what this is essentially a one-stop shop packaged lesson that I give out to my students. It's called a Hyperdoc because it has hyperlinks to all the different programs that we're going to use. So rather than sending out emails or posting to Google Classroom, all these different links, or Canvas, or whatever learning management system you use, it's all in one place. And you can see at the beginning, so I'm an ancient civilizations teacher. I teach social studies. So I try to do a little blending here of engineering with what I teach. I understand that you all might not actually teach anything about ancient Rome, but I made this lesson hopefully so that it seems a little bit more relevant to you all. So what I would do with a lesson like this is that I would first ask students to watch a Screencastify video. And so again, using this flipped classroom model, I'm going to have students watch a video tutorial that I've made prior to coming into a conference with me for a Zoom meeting. So what this will look like when a student clicks on it, they would click on that link. You'll see if you click on it yourself that I've recorded a short video explaining what the overview of this whole lesson is about. So I'll just play the first couple of seconds so that you can see what that's like. And first, you're obviously watching. I think I have there's some background sound from a game that I'm going to play with you guys later. But the point is that in this video, I'm explaining an overview of the week's lesson. And then I'm going to ask people to come back to the Zoom meeting to ask any questions that they have. So again, this is utilizing that video tutorial in a flipped classroom model. For the next slides, I'm going to be giving students an overview of the entire week. And what I wanted to show you here is how I use the 5Es lesson plan and how I use interactivity apps throughout the week. So you'll notice that I have in bold Padlet, Edpuzzle, Jamboard, Flipgrid, at different periods of the week. And some days I'm even having students use 2 interactivity apps together. So just wanted to show you what an overall week would look like so that you can see how you want to integrate those apps throughout the whole week. I always start my lessons with an essential question. So we're starting with looking at the big question that we're going to be answering for the week. In this case, what were the most important engineering achievements of the Roman Empire? And then I'll get into.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sam. There are 2 screens, so the people won't able to see this. So if you can just have one screen at a time.
So I'm showing 2 screens because I'm showing people who are not able to log in themselves. I'm going to show them what it looks like on the student end.
Okay, but it's not visible. So.
Oh, you're not able to see 2 screens?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. It's not a problem. Okay. Okay, so after the essential question, I'm going to have the learning targets. In this case, students are going to research different engineering achievements of Rome, describe how they've impacted us today. They'll be making an argument about what they believe the most important engineering achievements are. And then lastly, I'm going to have them make a digital book that they will share in a digital library with the rest of the class. So all of these links are links that I'm going to encourage people to click into so that you're able to see what these programs look like. So one of the ways that I like to use Padlet is for the engage part of the lesson where I'm trying to determine what students already know about a topic. So in this case on the Padlet, I'm asking students to post what they already know about some of the engineering achievements of ancient Rome. So at this point, I would encourage you to click on that link. And then at the bottom, you'll see that there is a add button where it says to add post. And down below, you'll be able to click here and you'll be able to add a post. So what you'll notice if people jump into this is that it's going to live populate this bulletin board with everybody's posts. So even if you don't know anything about ancient Rome's engineering achievements, it's okay to just post something on here just so that we can see what it looks like. So for example, I would title it what I know about Rome's achievements or Rome's engineering achievements. And then I'm going to write my answer. So for example, I know that the Romans invented concrete, and I can also add an image if I want. So you can do that. You'll see that there's a bunch of different options here. So you can add a picture to go with your post to make it a little bit more interesting to look at. So you can pick something like these concrete blocks. And now I have my post. So what you'll see if you go in is that everybody's posts will start to populate. And then as people post, you'll be able to comment as well on the posts that people have made. So I'm just going to take a moment and let people click on that link to Padlet so that they can try that out. And please let me know in the chat if anybody is having any issues getting in, if the link doesn't work or anything like that. Great. So now we can see already somebody's posted known for civil engineering. I'm going to turn the commenting function on. So now I've also chosen to add this. You know, I can add a like and I can add a comment, you know, as a teacher to somebody's post. So it looks like I have one brave soul who's jumped in. If anybody else wants to give it a try, we got somebody else coming in. And again, it's okay if you're just posting something just a guess even, or it's okay. I'll encourage students sometime to say, I don't know even. That's helping me understand what they know. One of the things you'll notice as well at the top is that it says anonymous. So if you did have students actually go up to the top and click sign in, they can create a free account. In the case that they're posting anonymous like this, I would also be encouraging students to like add their name. So I would say something like, please add your name so I know who posted, something like that. You don't actually have to do that, but I definitely encourage students to have their names so that I can see who's posting. So I like to use Padlet when I'm introducing a new concept to see what students know. It's really cool. Students are able to see each other's posts pop up live and then comment and interact with each other. This can be a great tool to use for synchronous learning like we're doing right now because we can like jump in really quickly and we can all answer a question quickly, talk about what we know. And so it can work really great actually for a Zoom call. It also works well for asynchronous learning because these posts are just going to be popping up throughout the day. So if students are doing independent study, they'll be able to see the posts, and then it would be a good idea when you are back in a video conference to project the bulletin board so that the whole class can see again what everybody else posted. Okay. The next link is to Edpuzzle. So I typically use Edpuzzle for introducing a topic, as is the case with this week or this lesson, where they're going to watch like an introductory video. And I also use Edpuzzle as a way to have students engage with content. So if I need students to be learning about content, then I'll also have them use Edpuzzle. So I'm just going to make sure in a second that this sound on this other game program is off. So if you just give me a moment. Okay, so this is back on my student view for Edpuzzle. So this is what a student would be seeing when they're on this document. And there's different ways you can set up Edpuzzle with an actual classroom if you'd like. I just set it up basically for open access. So all of you right now will be able to click on this link and it's going to ask you a question when you come in. If you want to join an open class, you can click on that. And you'll see that what Edpuzzle is a program where a teacher can set up questions that students have to ask as they're watching a video. So if you have different educational videos, YouTube videos, they can be, Edpuzzle has built-in integrations with like History Channel, different educational video programs. You can create your own custom questions. So you'll notice, I'm not going to play the sound on this video, but the video is going to start. One thing that you'll notice right away is at the bottom, I have it set up so that students actually can't even scrub forward. They cannot move forward on the video themselves. So they're going to be forced essentially to watch the video and they're going to be forced to move through the questions in order to complete the assignment. So you'll see that I've put a question here. And so this question is about something that the narrator just said in the video about which Roman engineering achievement helped bring water to cities. And I created this question myself. I created the answers myself as well. So when students click on the answer that it's an aqueduct and they click submit, then they'll be able to, they'll see first of all, whether or not they got the answer correct, and then they'll be able to proceed with the video. So Edpuzzle is just a very powerful tool. It's really one of the only tools that exists like it, where you can essentially chunk up video content. Students would answer different types of questions. You can even do your own voiceover narration over a video. You can stop segments of the video and add your own voice comments to the video. So it's a very powerful program. And I do have a tutorial for everything you need to know about how to use Edpuzzle that is going to be part of a presentation you're going to get at the end. So after Edpuzzle, what I would have students do is return to the Padlet. So they would click on the Padlet and they would add something new. So you just learned, for example, in that video that an important achievement was the aqueducts. So students would add a post and they would write down something that they learned. So now they also know that the Romans invented aqueducts for bringing water. And you'll see now I'm logged in as a student, so I'm able to see everybody else's responses. and I can add comments as well to my peers' posts. Okay, so that's the first day where students are engaging with a new topic. For the second day, I'm going to have students read an article, maybe watch more videos to learn about a topic. So in this case, I just hyperlinked to an article in Ancient History Encyclopedia about Roman engineering. I would have students read this article. And then what they're going to use is a program called Jamboard. And they'll use Jamboard, which is a interactive whiteboard program, to essentially take notes and be able to see all the notes that their classmates have also made as well. So when you click on the Jamboard, you'll see, and I encourage everybody to do this as well, you'll see that as the teacher, I already created a demonstration page. So what I did here is I included an image and some sticky notes where I am writing down some of what I learned about the different achievements. And so what I would encourage students to do is either you can do different things. You can have students comment on each other's notes, or you can have them go ahead and make their own page with their own notes from what they just learned. So just to show you really quickly what this looks like, you can add a new background. I want to add an image. So let's say, I just learned about the aqueducts, right? So I'm going to look for an image of aqueducts, put that image in. I will create a little sticky note here. And you can do all sorts of things. So you can add different types of sticky notes. You can add different annotations with a pen. So you could write directly on it if you wanted to. And there's also an eraser tool as well, so that if you messed up, you could go back and erase that. And that looks like this. And then if you're teaching, so let's say that I'm in a, I'm in a synchronous learning session like we are right now, and I want to take my little laser pointer here, then what I can do, and then those of you who are logged in up here, you're going to notice this is going to show up on your screen. So if I want to say, all right, everybody, we're going to make sure we have that sticky note right there. Make sure that you include an image. Okay, so I'm showing a laser pointing here. Make sure you're going to have this description of what concrete is and why it's important. Okay, so this is a great synchronous learning tool, right? We can see everybody is in here together right now, like all working on the same document. And this is fully controllable. You can change how much, like I gave you all editing access, so everybody's able to just edit right now, but you can change that so that, if you don't want students to be able to write on these notes, then you don't give them access to that. So you can kind of choose whatever you want here. Okay, so I would encourage, I like to use it where I have students basically have a page where they can have their notes. And the reason for that is because the next day they're going to go back and they're going to look at each other's notes to see what their peers did, so that they're still able to do some collaborative learning. Okay, so that's Jamboard. So for the next day, for Wednesday, again, I'll have those students go back to that Jamboard and look over each other's notes, learn from each other. You can do an activity here where, they may be making a comment on each other's work. And then I'm going to have them use a program called Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a video response platform where you can have students respond to a prompt and they respond via video. And then you can also have students respond to each other via video. So you'll notice that my first step here is to have students create a 1-minute video in Flipgrid. And then the third step is that they're going to respond to classmates' posts. So again, I'm logged in here as a student. So when I click on Flipgrid, it's going to take me directly into a Flipgrid lesson that I created. And you'll see that I wrote a description to record a 1-minute video making an argument about which ancient Roman achievement has most influenced our world today. And there's a big green button at the bottom. And what I can do here is record my response. So again, this is a student view. So I would click on that. And this is going to require students to log in with a Google or Microsoft email. So just something important to know. So you would need that to be able to use it. So now you'll see that now I'm able to record a video. Okay, so there are also, for students that are shy, adults that are shy. I mean, this is, not just young people. This is anybody. There are different video filters. You can even pixelate yourself if you don't want to show up in the video. These are also just kind of ways to make it like fun and interesting. All these tools you're seeing are also tools you can turn off. So if you feel like students would get distracted, even though they're college students, maybe they're going to play around too much with these tools. You don't have to allow access to these. And again, I have a whole tutorial all about how to do that that I'm going to provide everybody. So yeah, lots of different things like stickers, if you want to put little stickers on. So there's fun tools. You don't have to use those. So the way it works, students would click this button. I learned that the Romans invented the aqueducts, and I think that aqueducts are very important because they brought water from far places to major cities, and they allowed major cities like Rome to be able to have drinking water and also water to bathe in and keep clean, so everything was sanitary. Okay, so I recorded a short response, and I can preview that response. Students can clip the response if they want. They can edit it. They can add sticky notes to the response if they want to as well. All kinds of customization options. Again, these are all things you can turn on or off if you wanted. Part of it is having them snap a selfie. So that shows up in the response in the grid. And then what you'll see as different people make a video, and I would encourage a couple of you out there to go ahead and try it so that we're able to see what it looks like when everybody is making a video. You'll see that all the student videos are going to start to pop up in Flipgrid. And as the student videos pop up, then students are able to watch each other's videos and respond to each other via video. The teacher is also able to give feedback, and that can be public or private feedback. You can give them feedback just by typing some feedback, like "great job, I really appreciated your explanation," or you can even record a video response to your students as well. So again, just a great way to understand what students know, a great way for students to continue to communicate with each other, even though they're not in a classroom together. And so it has that twofold function of both providing you with information about what students know and also helping students sort of continue to feel that sense of class community. It's taking a little long, so I'm going to come back to it in a second. So after students have recorded a Flipgrid, again, they'll watch each other's, they'll record responses to each other. And then on the next day, I'm going to have them use a creativity app. So this is not so much an interactivity tool right now, as it is a tool for students to process what they've learned. It will become an interactivity tool later because through the process of creating a book, we're actually going to make a digital library so that students can go and see all the books that they made. So I would have students first watch a tutorial. I actually just linked to one of my own videos here about how to make digital books with Book Creator that I definitely encourage you to watch if you're interested in learning this program. It's awesome. Also has a really great free feature. And then they're going to log into Book Creator. So again, if you want, I would encourage you to check it out. I've given everybody access to a library with a login code. And so this is a program where essentially students are creating digital books. So you'll have to type in this login here to be able to get in if you want to check it out. And, you know, I obviously don't have time in this webinar to show you everything about it, but this is a very cool program where students are able to essentially show what they know. They can incorporate videos into their books. They can incorporate drawings. So if you want to have students diagramming different things into their books as well. So although it's fun and it's a creativity app, it's also can be quite rigorous and can definitely facilitate higher order thinking and build digital literacy skills. So just show you a couple things here with it. And create a title, and all this is just, it's all fully customizable. And then students can create different pages in their books where they might add some different type of content. They can add text like I just did. So, you know, you might want to have something about the aqueducts. And then they can also add, if you want to have them add different media, you can have them bring in different images, things like that. So everything in this is basically fully customizable. Very cool program. Again, I have a whole separate tutorial just about how to do this program. And one of the other things that I really like about this, not only is it encouraging, you know, students to be practicing some really important, relevant 21st century skills, but like I mentioned, once a book is made, this book is actually going to be in a digital library. So I make a book about what I learned about engineering achievements, and then we get to see everybody else's books in that digital library. So it's pretty cool. And so just kind of showing you some of the different tools here. Okay. All right. So once people have a book, these are going to show up, okay, like this. So if anybody wanted to jump in, make a quick book, or even just click that new book button up there, what you're going to see is that everybody's book, so if I choose that show everybody's book, is going to start showing up, so that it's a big library of different digital books that everybody has created. Okay, so just going back to the Flipgrid, since this is now done. So the way that the Flipgrid is going to look is great. This is awesome. So thank you, Prasad, for doing that. So you'll see here that I could click on Prasad's, and I could watch his video now. And then I can also reply to Prasad if I want with my own video response about his answer. So it's just a great way to have students continue to be interacting with each other. So you'll notice as students make videos, they're all going to pop up and show up in this Flipgrid grid. So very easy to use, very fun, and also just a great way to continue to sort of maintain that class community during remote teaching. Okay, so last part of this lesson for this week at least, that students would go back to the book creator. They would look at all the different books that their classmates had made. And after they had looked at those books, I would have them log into a separate Padlet. I've already shown you Padlet, so I'm not going to look at a new Padlet right now, but they would log into another Padlet. Then they would be able to give their classmates feedback on that Padlet. So just a way to come full circle, showcase each other's work, and then have them check out the work that they did and give each other some feedback. And you can even do things like have students incorporate the feedback from their classmates into the book that they made. All right, so I hope that gave you an idea of how you might integrate some of these interactivity apps. And the last one that I'm going to show you is another one that I highly encourage everybody, if you can, to jump in. And that is to play a game called, or use an app that's essentially a quiz game called Kahoot. So the way Kahoot works is that you're going to direct students to go to the URL kahootit.com. So everybody who can, if you can go to Kahootit, sorry, not .com, just Kahootit. And I'll also put that link in the chat for everybody to check out. Okay, so the link to Kahoot is going into the chat. And that's once you're in Kahoot, you are going to go ahead and type the Kahoot code. So the Kahoot code is down here at the bottom. It's 203326. And Kahoot is something you can do, again, synchronously or asynchronously. I have it set up right now to be synchronous so that we're all going to do it together. But you can also set it up so that students are able to access it at different times. So it's essentially like a quiz game. So again, it's 203326 to get into that Kahoot game. So on my end here, what it looks like. So it looks like I have 15 people coming in. That's great. So a bunch of people continuing to come in. This is awesome. So I'll wait for a little bit as more people come into the Kahoot game. And also up here, the instructions are all here. So Kahoot it, and here's the pin. So again, when I show you this, this might look like something like, oh, this is kind of for kids, but I use this for teacher professional development all the time. Adults love it. So although it's a game, you can make it quite rigorous and challenging. And it's a great way to just review concepts. Okay, so I see we have 32 people in, 35, 36 now coming in, which is awesome. So I'm going to give us another 30 seconds or so if a couple more people want to get in. Otherwise, you can just check it out and see what it looks like. And normally it has some music too that plays, you know, to kind of make it more like fun and engaging. I'm not going to play that music, but it has that element too. Okay, so again, well, we can imagine here we're all doing synchronous learning all together. We're on a Zoom call, and maybe it's the end of the week, or maybe I just taught a new concept, like I just taught you all, and I want to review to see what we know, right? So we're going to use Kahoot for that purpose. All right, so we have 50 people, and I'm going to go ahead here and start the game. Okay, so you'll see that on your end, you're going to have some questions pop up. So the first question says, what is synchronous learning? Okay, so you're going to be choosing those answer choices. Okay, so one of the things you notice is that there were tons of people, right, who were in the game, but if you didn't answer in time, then you weren't counted. So you should have seen on your end whether or not you got the answer correctly or not. Okay, then I'm going to go on to the next question. So it also has things like a scoreboard, right? Again, seems like maybe something that would only be for kids, but adults love it too. Okay, next question is, what is asynchronous learning? So again, you have about 10 seconds. Okay, awesome. So I have, yeah, majority of people knew that that was independent learning. Okay, and then we still have like a leaderboard here. And next question is true or false. So this is a true or false question. Synchronous learning is the best way to teach new tech tools. Okay, so actually the correct answer here was false. Just like you're going to see, actually, I've shown you some tech tools, but you've noticed I haven't actually taught you really nuts and bolts of like how to do it. Those are best done through video tutorials. Okay, next question. There are just 6 questions here. What is Padlet? What is Padlet? Great. So yeah, I did not explain that. It's in the lesson, but it is free up to 3 boards. I've never paid for Padlet myself, so you can use up to 3 boards, and then you can just archive old boards when you're done with them. Okay. Next question is, what is Edpuzzle? Okay, awesome. Yeah, most people knew it's an app where students respond to questions in videos. All right, and then last question is, most interactivity tools can be used synchronously or asynchronously, all together or in independent learning. True or false? Right. So yeah, most of the tools that I've shown can be used asynchronously as well as synchronously. So you'll see that it has some like fun sort of things here too, where they're like winners, leaderboard, stuff like that. A big believer in gamification of education as well, just to make things as fun and engaging as possible. Okay, so that was the last tool, Kahoot. And I'm going to also be dropping this entire presentation in the chat for you for a couple of reasons. So down at the bottom, you'll see some resources. So the first resource is for my website. So on my website, I have different templates that you can download. If you're interested in using Hyperdocs, I have blogs with screenshots and instructions about how to use different programs. And then I've also included my YouTube videos for all of the different programs, with the exception of Jamboard and Kahoot. But I have a video tutorial for Screencastify. If you're a Google Classroom user, how I think you should set it up specifically for remote teaching. I also showed you a Hyperdoc lesson. So I have 2 videos with different examples of Hyperdocs, how to make them, different ideas for how to use them. I also have downloadable templates you can get. If you're interested in the program Flipgrid, there's a full tutorial about everything you need to know to use it. Full tutorial about Edpuzzle and everything you need to know to use it. Padlet as well. So I highly encourage you, if you're interested in checking out these video tutorials. I think it's a great way for you to learn about how to use these programs before you use them with your students. And then I know that we're going to have some questions. Did you, Dr. Pachorkar, did you want me to give the Google form survey now, or would you prefer if I wait until the end? I'm not hearing back. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, if it's all right, is I'm going to put this in the chat. So it would be, it's really beneficial for me to get some feedback from people to know whether what I'm showing you is relevant to your needs, and whether or not you felt like I communicated clearly, and if you felt like you are more equipped to be able to use some of these interactive strategies. So at the top, I'm just asking for an email, your name, though you don't have to put it. First question is that the presenter helped you learn new strategies for making remote teaching more interactive, that I communicated clearly throughout the webinar, and then that the strategies and tools that you learned felt relevant to you and your classroom. So typically I teach teachers who teach K through 12, so through high school education. So I'm definitely interested to know whether or not you feel as though these tools are relevant for the teaching that you're doing with college students. And then lastly, if you just have any additional comments or feedback. And then the last question, if you would like to subscribe to my email list, I send out about weekly emails with different tutorials that I publish to my YouTube channel, blogs with different templates for lesson plans and things like that that you can download. So if you're interested, you can select yes or no. And if you select no, then I won't add you, so no problem. Dr. Pachorkar, did you want me to moderate the chat myself, or would you like to ask me questions?
Yes, I think I will request all participants, if you have any questions, so you can please put on chat box so that we will ask the Sam about this question. So before that, I'd like to ask Sam about, there are many of us are working on creating our videos. So there are, like what you have mentioned, Screenomatic as well as Screencastify. So which would be a better to start? If we would like to start as a basic, creating a basic video, which tool would you like to recommend?
You know, honestly, they're all pretty much the same. I personally use Screencastify, but I know lots of people that use Screencast-O-Matic and Loom and are very happy with it. I have continued myself to use Screencastify just because that's a program that I'm familiar with. And I do have a tutorial about how to use it. So if people are feeling like they need assistance, you could watch that tutorial and use it. But otherwise, I think they pretty much have the same exact functionality. So I don't necessarily recommend one over the other. Same with Zoom and Google Meet. They're both pretty similar.
So there are people who like to know about your YouTube channel. So can you just post the link of your feedback as well as YouTube channel?
Sure, and I can show it to you here as well. So I'll put the link. So you can see here that yeah, I have videos about all kinds of different technology platforms, and more recently, a few months ago, once we started going to remote teaching, I really started emphasizing remote teaching in my tutorials as well. So I'll put the link to my YouTube channel here for you. You can also ask me. I answer every single question that's asked on my YouTube channel in the comments. So if you ever have any questions after watching a video, you can always ask me in the YouTube comments as well, and I'll respond. And you can also send me an email, and my email is available on my website as well. So my website's a little bit different because on my website, I have different, like I mentioned, different templates and things like that. So for example, if you go down to like my blog about teaching with the Google Slides Hyperdoc, the video is there, but I also walk you through all the steps for how to do it. And then at the bottom, there's downloadable copies in the resources section so that you can get, you can just take copies of the lesson plans and stuff that I've created as well. Oh, the other thing, Dr. Pachokar, that I wanted to give everybody is actually this link. So this is the link to the presentation today that has links out to different programs and also has links to the video tutorials for all those programs at the bottom. So if you're interested, this is the link to the presentation. And I used a program called Adobe Spark to make the presentation today, and I have some different tutorials about this program as well on my channel. So yeah, so I see there's a question about paid versus free. So all of these tools have free versions. And I don't pay for programs. So a couple of disclaimers: I don't get paid by these companies, and I don't personally pay for them. I only use the free versions of these programs. So yeah, let's see, Jamboard has some paid features, but the one I use is free. Padlet has a limitation to only 3 Padlets that you can use for free, but you can just archive old Padlets. So like the Padlet that we did, once you're done with it, you don't need it again. So you can just delete it or archive it and then just use a new one. So I don't pay for Padlet either. Edpuzzle has some paid features, but it's also has tons of free features. I've never paid for Edpuzzle. So the free version I think is totally fine. Flipgrid is 100% free, unlimited grids, unlimited videos. There's no paid features, totally free. Kahoot also has some paid features, but again, I've never paid for them. I only use the free version. So everything you saw today, those were all free. Every tool is free.
So for using this app, do we need a cloud space? So there is a question coming from participants. So do we need a cloud space of using these apps? Like maybe a Padlet?
No, but but that's actually what so most of these are stored within the program. So for example, the Kahoot, the data is stored in Kahoot. Flipgrid, it's all stored in Flipgrid. So you don't need specific cloud access. Edpuzzle, that is one possible reason if you use Edpuzzle a lot. If you pay for Edpuzzle, what that gets you is more storage space in their cloud. But you are not required to have, in fact, it's not even going to help you to have your own cloud storage, because all these programs, Padlet as well, they all store all of the data within the program. So it's not necessary.
So any other alternative tool for the writing pad?
Other tools for writing?
Writing pad. Without writing pad, any other alternative tool? So that's the question from one of the participants.
Um, when you're referring to writing pad, or which one are you referring to? Are you referring to Padlet here?
Let me go to the participant so that he will ask the question, because yeah. So Dr. Birari, would you like to ask the question about? Can you please explain what the question is?
While we're waiting, I do see that there's a question about assessment tools. So all of those are formative assessment tools, not summative assessment tools. In terms of some good programs for summative assessment tools, one is called Socrative. So I can show that really quickly. Socrative is essentially like an online quiz creation program that is also free. And so it's very similar to like creating a Google Forms quiz, where you can essentially create an assessment and it's going to automatically grade work if you're setting it up to be like multiple choice. Obviously, if it's a short answer question, you're going to have to go grade it yourself. I personally also use Google Forms a lot for creating quizzes. So just like the survey you saw, I would make a quiz out of a Google Forms. And those can all be automatically graded, and you can make a spreadsheet out of those. I do have a tutorial on my channel about making a survey. It's not about making a quiz, but a lot of the ideas are very similar. Yeah, this question about online versus conventional. For me, the ideal situation is really blended, so that you are doing in-class instruction, but you're having students on a lot of different digital platforms. That's the way I've been teaching for a long time. I think there's a benefit of being in front of students. One huge benefit is just the ability to give them feedback right away and answer questions right away. And that can be challenging with online teaching. But I also think just introducing students to a lot of different apps and programs, and really building their skills so that they're able to fluidly navigate the digital world, is also just very important. So, my students, for example, were pretty easily able to make the transition to remote teaching because every single program that I just showed you, I already had taught them in class. So I think, a combination of both is the best. Yeah, Khan Academy style teaching. I definitely use Khan Academy in a similar way that I would use Edpuzzle as a way for students to be engaging with content. Could you clarify the question about critical? I'm not familiar with PenTab, sorry. The question about critical thinking, an anecdote about critical thinking. Could you just clarify that question? Creating content. When you say creating content for online tools, is this having students creating content, or are you saying as a teacher creating content about how to use an online tool? I guess if the question, I'm assuming it's about creating content for online tools in the sense of like a teacher needing to create a tutorial. I think keeping them as short as possible and really hitting on the key pieces of technology are important. The other benefit of having to go through the process of making a tutorial is that you are going to learn how to use that program. So it just has that sort of added benefit of, being able to support students better if you have to make the tutorial and take the time to learn how to use the program. But I also think that's why YouTube is a great resource for you to first learn from other people how to use these different programs from people that already have knowledge about them. Yeah, so one, an animation tool. There are a couple of different animation tools. Hold on one second. I'm blanking out right now on the name of one of them. And that's mainly because I don't use it a lot, but I know of it. In the meantime, while I'm thinking about that, a tool that I do really like is a tool called Storyboard That, which is a digital comic creation program that it wouldn't be so much the teacher creating like animations for students, but it would be you assigning those. So it's a digital comic creation platform where students can like explain concepts via creating digital comics. And shoot, what is the name of that animation tool? There definitely is one, and I'm just right now blanking on the name of it. I apologize for that. Maybe it'll come back to me. Oh yeah, the quizzes, how to add a quiz to YouTube. That's Edpuzzle. You can add a quiz question to any YouTube video through Edpuzzle. So definitely, check out my tutorial that's about that down below, and I teach you how to do that. It's here. yeah, digital comic creation. That's I'll drop this in. This is by far my favorite storyboard that for digital comics. I do have a tutorial about that as well. So. This is one of my absolutely favorite programs. So you can kind of see what they have some examples of what they look like here. And I use digital comics to have students practice like pretty rigorous skills. And this they're explaining the changes from Paleolithic to Neolithic age. So although they're comics, you can have them practice some pretty rigorous academic skills. Yeah, the engineering, animation, and design. It's only because I'm a humanities teacher is not something I have as much experience with. So typically what I do if you email me or ask a question in a comment, I'll go out and do some different research and then respond. The PowerPoint to the session. So actually it's this link here that has all the links in it, is up here. So it's right there, the Adobe Spark webpage that has all the links in it too. And my email is newedtechclassroom@gmail.com, and this is on my website too. Yeah, there's a question about my YouTube channel. So YouTube channel is, if you actually just Googled New Ed Tech Classroom, it would pop up. But it's, I'll put that in there as well for you here. So it looks like those are most of the questions. Feedback link, sure. Google Forms feedback link is there, and the PowerPoint. So actually, I'm going to give you this whole entire, or you want just the link to the PowerPoint or the Google slide is here. You're welcome. Thanks for attending. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think Sam, let's move for the conclusion. I think the questions have already covered, as well as you have forwarded all the links, the feedback links, your PPT link, as well as your YouTube link, and as well as your email.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So over to Kulkarni sir, if you can please proceed for the conclusion. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our Vice Principal Professor N.B. Desle sir to say a few words about this MPP. Over to you, sir. Desle sir.
Just a minute. I need to unmute him. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. So good evening to Sam Kary and good morning to all the participants for this concluding day session of this FDP. Good morning to Sir Chitnis Nilimatai Pawar, Principal and Education Officer, Dr. N.S. Patil sir, and all the participants. So it was an immense pleasure and proud sharing of knowledge about how to be innovative and ready to impart the quality education, especially for technical institutes, through this 5-day FDP, which was organized very neatly and up to the mark, as I have seen the remarks from the participants in chat box, by this great educational institute, Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samaj, and its KBT College of Engineering, Nasik. An idea behind carrying this FDP was to respond very positively to the new and surprising challenge COVID-19 thrown to all of us by Mother Nature. The answers are various by various agencies, and this one has surely helped all of us. Starting from Dr. V.B. Gaikwad sir's presentation about IQAC role, which was quite helpful for all of us. Then Dr. Sanjay Lakde's session about quality circle for building quality culture had opened new ideas to all. Mr. Sandeep Wankhede has inspired us about using trees way to impart the creative pedagogy in education. And yesterday, Ashwin Paude had informed beautifully about the community innovation. And today was the session which we will never forget about the effective use of technology in such remote teaching situation, which is forced and which was conducted by Mr. Sam Kary. This session and this FDP is surely a lifelong learning experience for all of us. I am sure that we all will use this experience and knowledge in our life to make sure that we pay back to our nation and humanity with quality human engineers. So thank you all the participants and thank you, Sam, for conducting this session. Now over to you, Kulkarni sir, for the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Sarika Jagtap ma'am to give the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Pachurkar sir.
Yes,
Hello.
I have to
Uh,
unmute you.
okay, thank you. A very good morning to all. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this 5 days faculty development program on innovative teaching pedagogy in technical institutions. I, Miss Jagtap Sarika, am Sarika Madhukar on the behalf of Maratha Vidya Prasarak SAMAJ'S Karmavir Advocate Baburao Ganpatrao Thakare College of Engineering. I would like to thank our today's most valued invited guest, Sam Kary sir, who honored his this day of FDP with his valuable guidelines on the interactive remote teaching strategy. I would like to thank our management, our respected principal, Dr. N.S. Patil sir, our vice principal, Mr. N.B. Desle sir, our supporter, Dr. Pachurkar sir, our IQSC coordinator, Mr. Kulkarni sir, all HODs, staff members, and all the participants and the faculty from the different colleges who are participating in this program from the last 5 days. And the last but not least, our entire IQSC team. Once again, I would like to say thank you to one and all present over here. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Kulkarni,
you.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Patsarkar, sir.
So thanks once again, Sam, for joining this wonderful session. I think this will really help us for looking forward to create our content as well as to do a remote learning. I'm sure that in future also your association with our institute as well as all faculties will be continue. We will like to come again whenever we stuck something related to the remote teaching, because the way you have gave a framework about the lesson plan and how to integrate with this app, something which would be really necessity in this particular stage. So I'm sure that it is 11 p.m. from your side, and it is almost 12 and 12 hours time zone, and you committed us even on this time to deliver the lecture. So we are very thankful to you. And on behalf of KBT, we again thanks all participants as well as all organizing committee. So I think let's proceed for the self attendance. If all participant can on your video, so we will take the selfie attendance.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor. I appreciate the invite.
Well-equipped interview rooms, group discussion hall, and a counseling cell provides a perfect infrastructure for training and placement activities. We have formed several in-house training centers and also
I welcome all the students visit our KBT College of Engineering, and I also thanks our alumni, students, parents for choosing KBT College of Engineering. We are following the values laid down by our Samstha, that is transparency, discipline, and quality.
for admission contact 8698263355 and 8698264455.
Kulkarni sir, if you have already captured the
Yes,
everyone's
sir.
self, can we end the meeting?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I once again congratulate the IQSC team, as well as I thanks all participants for joining this FDP. We will soon we will issue the e-certificate to all participants. I request all of you to submit your feedback of today's session, and hope your association as a participant will continue in our future events and conferences. Thanks once again. I'll end the meeting. Thank you, Sam, for joining us.